Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark, and I'm solo today, guys. I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the publishing industry, rounding up into 2022. So before we get started, don't forget to go over to YouTube and subscribe, Super Brand Publishing. We're over there. And if you're listening to this over on iTunes or iHeart or one of the podcast platforms and you want to see the video, you can find it over at Super Brand Publishing. Also, if you're a reader, go over to my website. All of this is in blog format, and you can click a button and subscribe to iTunes. We've got lots of different ways you can consume this information depending on what is your best way to learn. So today, we're actually going to talk about what's going on in the publishing world, rounding up into 2022. We've had an amazing year this year. So many of you guys wrote entrepreneurial books during COVID. Some of you wrote fiction novels, which was really, really great, fiction novels related to your business. So I want to congratulate all of our published authors this year. And rounding up into January 2022 and February 2022, we have a lot of great new releases that people are putting out for the beginning of the year. We have a book coming out on getting your dream job, how to really get fulfillment out of your job. We have one on social media. We have one on selling. For all of you entrepreneurial women out there who feel really uncomfortable with selling, we have a great book coming out by Ryan Dowdy. If you haven't checked out some of the others, let's see, what else do we have? Susan Hayworth is writing a book about change, how change will do you good. That's actually the name of it. We have Linda Marcenico. I can barely say her name most of the time, with the book coming out, The A Train to Sedona, which is a little bit more of a spiritual book. Let's see, who else is in January? Christina Liu, chronicling her year-long trip around the world, where she ended up buying, I hope I'm not giving it away, she ended up buying a spiritual retreat in Costa Rica. So talk about some really big doers in the world. We've got a lot of them we're working with over in the next year. So what is trending? What is not? One of the things that is really trending is hardcovers. People are back to doing hardcovers. A lot of people read in the last year with COVID. I know some of you were kind of stuck on TV with the Tiger King and other things that you were doing, stress eating, but a lot of people use this time not only to write, but to read, because for those of you who don't know, most people who are good writers are also big readers. And that is a super important aspect of any good writers, what they do with their spare time. So hardcover sales were actually up. Print sales growing really, really rapidly. Actually, some numbers, it was up 8.2% or 8.2% in 2020 over 2019. Not surprising, considering that we were all, really locked down for a while. But the really surprising number is that 2021 numbers over 2020, 18.5%. So more and more people are shutting off the TV. They're doing, all those things that we were doing that probably weren't as good for us, and they're reading again. And that is really, really exciting. Let's see, what else can I tell you about it? I've got all my little cliff notes here. Again, hardcover sales. A lot of people are buying in hardcover and selling, especially those entrepreneurial books. So expect to see a lot of hardcovers coming out in 2022. I know one of our authors, Carrie Cassell, she did release in softcover. She's also releasing an audiobook, which we're going to talk a lot more about next week. But she also had a hardcover out too. And I think her hardcover sales were pretty good as well. You might remember her from earlier in the year release, The Domino Diet. And we actually did an interview with her as well. One of the big things that's really, really important to think about for 2022 is digital trends. Ebook sales are way up. And this is really important going into 2022 because we are experiencing paper shortages. Yes, the supply chain is hurting everyone. Right now, it seems to be hitting our premium color books the hardest. There is at least a 3 to 4 week lag time even getting proofs right now. They're really conserving that paper, but we are getting, it seems like it's a slower sale on Amazon, even Barnes and Noble. We have books that we've ordered that we're 2-3 weeks out ordering them retail from even getting them. We haven't received them yet. And I know we had a lot of big orders for people who were having them drop shipped at events. And it was a major hassle to get it there. We're also starting to get notifications from printers about the 50-pound paper, which is what we use for black and white. Most people, most companies, most printers out there use 50 for the black and white books. So that's where you need to have a really good ebook strategy in place, whether it's Kindle or whether it's an actual EPUB over on Barnes and Noble or some of the other platforms. So remember that when you're putting your multi-level strategy together, it's not a good idea to just put out one version of the book. Have multiple books available. The biggest trend of the year we're going to talk about next week with Tina Dietz is actually audiobooks. And we are encouraging all of our clients to budget for audiobooks. We use Twin Flame Studios. Like I said, Tina Dietz is going to be on. She's the owner of the studio talking next week. And you can choose to record your own book with them, or you can have talent do that as well. But either way, audiobooks are not something that you can try to do on your own because they have big quality standards. And that means that no huffing, which a lot of us huff and we don't even realize it. I remember trying to read my own book many, many years ago, and it's much harder than it seems because of all of the delicate equipment and the noise on it. So just to give you some idea, US revenue year over year for digital is up 20%. If you're somebody out of the UK, you guys are up 24%. So there's a lot going on in the digital world. So when you're coming into this, plan for minimally a soft cover, a digital version, and an audio. I don't necessarily know if the hardcover is the way to go. Hardcover's sort of a vanity. My problem with the hardcover going up is you make so much less money on the hardcover books. And that sort of brings me back to the print versus digital argument as well, because we have seen 3 price increases on paper this year. It is getting harder and harder to actually make money off of that physical book. The hardcover's always been a hard avenue to make money on because of the nature of it. It's priced higher. And you've probably noticed if you buy books over on Amazon, they've been creeping up the last year. In order for us to get much profit out for our clients at all, the prices have gone up. And that's across the board too. I've noticed the traditional prices have gone up. In fact, we have a cap on our digital, how high we go with them. I'm noticing that the traditional publishers are selling the digital versions for a lot more in this day. So like I said, bare minimum, paperback, digital version, whether that is Kindle, we encourage the Kindle, but also you can have an EPUB made and go over and put that on Barnes and Noble as well as, and there's some other platforms you can too. But also the audio. A lot of people are starting to listen to audio more and more. It's just a great way to consume information. And I got to tell you with the audio, I'm a huge audio. Like I should have stock in Audible. I listen to so many books a month. I think I'm into 5 or 6 a month. I listen to a lot, but here's the secret about it. If I'm listening to an entrepreneurial book and I hear things that I want to explore more fully, I'll order that soft cover just so I have it sort of as a reference guide. So definitely something you can do too. Libraries, we don't actually work with libraries. I know there are, but a lot more and more people are working in the library space as well. The other shift we see big time is since everybody's everybody's home now, and people have lost their jobs. We talked about the Great Resignation earlier this month. A lot of people are transitioning to home businesses, which means they are reading a lot. They are taking a lot of online courses to get themselves up to speed. One of my biggest things that I'm really hammering lately with my clients is I notice more and more my clients have books, they have online marketing, but they don't have accounting systems. They're still using PayPal. They're not using really good accounting systems like QuickBooks, or I think Quicken is one too. You need to have, in case now that you have a business, you need a good contract in place, which I'll tell you, we love HoneyBooks. We send out our contract, the proposal, it has places to pay on it, and then it connects right into our QuickBooks and sets up the profile, the invoicing, everything over there. So we don't have to have our bookkeeper do any double work anymore. But that shift to online learning means that now you can use your own books as reference sources. Why is this important? Many, many years ago, a professor at Cal State Northridge came to me and he wanted a book that he wrote. He wanted it put over on Amazon and he wanted a Kindle version. Now, I know that sounds really weird. Why would a professor sell his books? Well, because he makes all the money for it and it doesn't go through the campus bookstore. So I will be really transparent when he asked me this. I went back to my nieces who were both in college then and said, "Do you buy books this way?" And I got a yes on the Kindle versions. And get this, the Kindle versions were selling for an enormous amount of money. So $60, $70 a copy. And the conversion is not that much money. So I suspect more and more, we're going to see more and more of that. Audiobooks, like I mentioned, audiobooks are coming up. The quality has to be there. We're going to talk about that more with Tina next week, but the audio numbers are huge. It's a good investment overall. So just to kind of recap what's been going on for the physical formats of the books, hardcovers are up 24%. So if you're thinking about doing a hardcover, people are reading them. Trade paperbacks, that's what most of our entrepreneurial books are up about 17%. Mass market paperbacks, those are usually the fiction. Some of the others, they're up 5%. And GB board books, these are more like the children's books, they're actually up 20%. So that's kind of a good thing because it's really hard to get a good ebook. And I know a lot of people are getting their kids into technology. So, they're handing off the iPad or a computer or something like that for their kids to read. Really great information for you guys on that. It's a really good time to be in the book industry. But of course, for those of you who have worked with us, you also know that we encourage you to have your next steps in place, especially you online marketers. We don't really feel that the whole online marketing funnel is a really great way to encourage clients to come in. We're finding a lot of people click and it doesn't really lead to a relationship, which is why we've sort of transitioned a lot of our marketing over the last couple of years, not only for ourselves, but for our clients to understand. And I think if you read Ryan Dowdy's book when it comes out, you're going to get a lot of information about that because she's really the person who understands the value of those personal relationships and sales. And you just can't get it from a click. I don't care what anybody says, ads and clicks, they might get you in front of new people, but it's all about trust. So you have to figure out how to take it from a click into a real conversation, not a strategy session where I get to tell you for 15 minutes, I get to sell you what I have and, do all those things where I listen and I feedback and I blah, 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 that is supposed to be a sales technique, really building relationships just like you would with a friend. Most of my clients leave here, my friends. So just some things to think about from that marketing standpoint. We have so many new people trying to use the books as a nurture sequence and then get people into those online programs. It's not a hard sell to get someone to buy something that's 20, 30 bucks. But then when you transition from there into that bigger product, you have to look at this book as a get to know you product. Find out if what I do meshes with what you do, because really at the end of the day, there's probably not one big person who has monopolies on particular markets. People do the same thing. It's just whose personality do you resonate? Where are you going to spend your money? And I find that online world has a lot of shiny objects, a lot of really great marketing, but not much delivering. So great to think about how you are going to market your book in 2022, how that will relate into your business, and how you're going to work with publishers and what that looks like. Is this someone you just hand it off and it's cheap and you get a cheap product and you don't know what to do with it? Or are you going to hire somebody who gets deep in the weeds about this is how we're going to relate it back to your business? Well, I hope that's really helpful. I look forward to talking to Tina with you guys next week, because I think this audio component is so important and it's just another way to get your voice out to the world. All right. Have a great day. Thanks for stopping by.